So I'd like to welcome you to the new now high-end highness wow factor evolution. I am Majesty AliNICOLE wow. Thank you for joining me for this segment. I felt guided to come forth to share a very empowering message for you today. And it's something that I've been really feeling pressed to come forth with for quite some time. I have a larger expanded work, around this particular area, but I've been feeling for a while that I needed to actually come and talk a little bit about this and just as an empowerment. So I'm here to do that with no delay. So what I want to speak with you about today is the subject of the last shall be lucratively first. And supporting scripture for this particular initiative comes from Matthew chapter 20, verse 16. And I'm going to share from a couple of translations, but I'm going to start with the New International Version. So the last will be first, and the first will be last. And the New Living Translation reads, so those who are last now will be first then, and those who are first will be last. And the reason why this is important during this time for those who especially have been sharing their gifts in the world for quite some time, and you've really felt a true divine calling to provide a larger expanded contribution to the world. And a lot of times you haven't known exactly what that is. So you go through purposes to purposes, journey to journey, so to speak. And sometimes you feel like things just aren't adding up. And the payoff or reward, so to speak, for what you've been doing and following the divine guidance just hasn't been there. And then some of you who follow a lot of different spiritual teachings, and especially those within the Christian paradigm, that framework, who read the biblical text. And there were times in your life where you felt like this was really working for you when you applied the word. And then you had seasons where it just seemed like just desolate seasons, just no true connection to God, to source. And no matter what the paradigm or perspective is, several have felt like that. But one of the reasons why this has happened is because you're being brought to a higher dimension and understanding of why you're truly here, and also your life's purpose, and how that pertains to the greater expansion of humanity's evolution. And so a lot of times you're feeling like you're behind and you're last, and nothing that you're doing seems to be moving you forward. But I want to encourage you today that the reason why, again, it's not happening or hasn't happened is there's divine timing for certain things, but you have to come into a more expanded self. And that's why the works that I do around the evolutionary factor in the context of people going through their actual metamorphosis and having your life's purpose and your reason for being here go through a metamorphosis, so that you're not still in a caterpillar confined type of constricted framework that's been given by a lot of different paradigmatic systems, including religion, the spiritual community. That too is very way behind because they haven't had a metamorphosis. So for you who are coming more into this higher awareness, and especially you're listening to this, you are now starting to understand why things are no longer working for you. And the old world and the old systems don't make sense to you, and who you have become, your evolutionary factor. Okay. So something I want to talk about before I focus more on the last shall be first from the lucrative vantage point is when you think about what a caterpillar makes the transition into a butterfly. A lot of people put that in the category of transformation, but it really is an evolutionary process. It is transformation for sure, but it's more on an evolutionary expanded context. the caterpillar goes into the chrysalis, it breaks down, and it doesn't become a bigger caterpillar. It becomes a new creation, a new identity. And just as in the Bible, where it talks about if any man be in Christ, he is a new creation. Well, no matter what your perspective is, anytime you go through a metamorphosis, you are supposed to become something different, not a bigger version. And all of these frameworks have been giving you a bigger caterpillar, but yet not an actual metamorphosis that transforms and evolves you into a new creation. So, for those of you who have actually been going through a metamorphosis and you weren't even aware, I'm making you aware of the type of process that you've been having. So now that you are aware of this, I can speak to the last will be first and the first will be last. But in your case, from the high end perspective, no, the last shall be lucratively first. So those of you who have lacked and been last and you're lacking, you are being set up to be lucratively first. And the reason why you couldn't come into your grander expansion is because you would still be trying to come into that, to a new form in the same ways of the systems that have been produced to you. You would just be trying to come into that form in a new and improved version of that. No, no new and improved. You are here to become a new creation. So within this new creative format, this is where you come into the new now high-end way of existing and thriving. You're not coming into the expansion of the high-end, high-ticket selling way of the traditional format. No, you are becoming something new in this now, no other way expansion, all right? So again, if you've been wondering why you've been last and you've been trying and trying and trying everything to move yourself forward, it's because you're still trying to move yourself forward in a way that is not aligned for the new creation of who you are. So with that being said, when you become a new creation, that means that you take on a new format, a new functionality, and there's also new foundations and new fundamentals around how you start to operate in this way of being, right? So just know that prior to hearing this, you weren't aware in terms of what the real context was around this. But now that you are, they say, well, we know better, we do better, right? So, of course, I'm not going to just leave you hanging in terms of not being able to support you in that way. So, I do have within the description several different opportunities at different various levels that you can, participate in order to start leveling yourself up in this way so that you can align accurately with your truth. And I should say, fluently align with your truth in a more accurate way. And also, there'll be a playlist of some of the other renderings that I've done, around this particular topic, not this topic in general, in a sense, but just in the context. It's all part of the new now high-end way. But you will use some transitionary formats of the same types of structures. They're just in a newer vibration. So something I want to say before closing is that start looking at some of even your offers and opportunities that you don't believe to be your bigger core focuses. Start looking at some of those because those are things that you consider to be last, but in this season, those want to be first, but they're going to be in a much more expanded way. So it's much like looking at something that you thought was an acorn and now pulling the oak tree out of that acorn. So you won't present it the same as it being the acorn. That's been the problem. People have been moving seeds of concepts into the world thinking it's the big thing, and it's not. But Son of Man, take a second look at your offerings and different things that you just thought, no, it's a lower hanging fruit. It's not that big of a deal. I'm using this to position and leverage in a certain way. Nope. In those seasons, in this season, those opportunities, those are going to be what help to position you first. So again, check in the comments or in the description, I should say, so that you can learn how you can now start to be the lucrative first, okay? Because you have to be lucratively first. Otherwise, just forget it. It's not going to happen for you. But it's meant to happen for you. You're born for this. You're hardwired for this. So in order for you to function at your full capacity, you have to be in your truth. So again, you've been last, but it is your time to be lucratively first. And I'm going to close with this. And I hope that this has blessed you tremendously. Again, be sure to check the description. And I look forward to being back with you soon. Take care and stay blessed.